So for page 7 of our notes, we are going over slope. It says, I can calculate and interpret the average rate of change of a function. So one thing that we need to remember is slope is the change of y divided by the change of x. So that means our y is always going to be in the numerator, and then our x is always going to be in the denominator. So one thing about a slope is that it's constant. That means it's the same change over a specific interval. So if we have a graph, that graph is going to always stay constant. It's going to always go up to right, 3, up to right 3. It's never going to change. A graph that's not constant would look something like this. Yeah, you're going up at a steady slope and then changes direction and then goes again. So this would be constant. It would be 3 different slopes for that graph. So thankfully, we are just going to concern ourselves with one slope, and that is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is called the slope formula. Instead of writing the change of y over the change of x using the subtraction sign, way that you can do it shorthand is delta y over delta x. Delta just means the change, and change is just the subtraction part. Okay. Now, I just put these 4 graphs here for visual aid. Positive slope is always going to be going up and to the right. So I like to think of it as money. We always want our money going up and to the right. Negative slope is going down to the right. Zero slope is if you're walking on a floor, it has no incline or decline to it. It's just a straight line. Undefined slope, that just goes straight vertically. Now to actually find the slope, the rise over run, we need to use this slope formula. So we're always going to use that. So then we have x1, x2, then y1, and then y2. Notice that my x's and my y's are still together, but if you notice, my x1 and my y1 are together because that's our first ordered pair. And then x2, y2 are together because that's my second. So then you just plug it into the formula. So our y2 minus our negative 3. Whenever I have a negative sign, I'm going to wrap it up in parentheses. And then 9 minus 5. And then you can simplify. 2 minus negative 3 is 5 divided by 4. Now don't change it to a decimal. Don't change it to a mixed number, because when we start graphing, 5 over 4 is going to be our rise over our run. Now for number 2, you're going to do the same thing. I always start off labeling. When you start off labeling, make sure you label it correctly. Make sure you're able to read your handwriting as well. So my y2 is 6 minus 5. And then my x2 is negative 3 minus 2. Remember, the letter we use is slope. So 6 minus 5 is 1. Negative 3 minus negative 2 is negative 5. Now, students in class that did this, they struggled with this because their calculator showed negative 1 over 5. That's actually equivalent. It's the same answer. And then you can also have it in the middle. All three of those, if you notice, just have one negative sign. It does not matter where you place it. By default, I will always place it in the numerator, which is the top of the fraction. Now, for number 3, you do the exact same thing as the first two. It doesn't matter which ordered pairs. You just need 2 ordered pairs. So each class actually chose a different ordered pair. So I'm just going to choose the first 2. Be careful. This is your x1. That's your x2. y1, y2. Students that rush through it really make some silly mistakes, and then their whole problem is going to be wrong. So 11 minus 3, and then 2 minus 0. So 11 minus 3 is 8 over 2. Always simplify the fraction, so then you get m equals 4. Same rules apply for number 4. I personally don't like negative numbers, so I'm going to stay away from the first 2 ordered pairs. And I'll choose this time 0, 6, and then 2, 14. Label them. If you label them, your y2 is 14 minus 6, 2 minus 0. 14 minus 6 is 8 over 2. Once again, my slope is 4. Now, for 5 and 6, some of your middle school teachers like you to do rise over run, which is personally a great way to check your answer, but you have to be sure that you're counting by ones, because if not, rise over run doesn't really work. So the first thing you want to do, and I'll zoom in. So for number 5 of the graph, like I was saying before, your middle school teacher probably let you do rise over run. I'm just going to show you how to pick the ordered pairs. You want to pick the ordered pairs that are at the corners or the intersection of the graph, because that represents the integers. Because if you put it in the middle of the graph, you may say it's like negative 3.5, but you don't know that for sure. It may be negative 3.48 or negative 3.999. So you just want to be sure that you pick integers. Does not matter which points you choose. So I will just choose this point and that point. Today in class, everybody chose different points in all hours. Doesn't matter, as long as you pick the right ordered pairs. So it is negative 1, 2. Make sure you label x1, y1. And then it is 0, 4. Biggest mistake I saw today, students did 4, 0. Just make sure for 0, that is our x2 and then our y2. So then you can do the slope formula, 4 minus 2. 0 minus, be careful, it's a negative 1. So make sure you wrap it up in parentheses. 4 minus 2 is 2. 0 minus a negative is actually a positive 1. So our slope is 2, or you can keep it as a fraction. Doesn't matter. You can check your answer by doing rise over run. So I rose 2 levels and I went right 1. So that's how you get 2 over 1. That's fine. For number 6, if I give you the ordered pairs, please just use those, because the other ones may not be exactly at the intersection. You know for sure that these are. Once again, be careful. This is 0, 2. Don't flip those. And that's 4, -4. So then we have m equals -4 minus 2. And then 4 minus 0. -4 minus 2 is -6 over 4. Always simplify if you can, which in this case would be -3 over 2. And we can confirm by going 1, 2, 3 levels down, which is -3. And then write 2. Go 3 levels down, write 2. Now some students noticed if they did it the other way, the negative sign was on the 2. That's totally fine. It just means your slope triangle was on top of the line. So then you went up 3, but to get to the line, you went left 2. You went up 3, and you went left 2. Still the same, rise over run.